Hey, what is going on, everybody? So, Apple recently had their November event, which was all about the Macs and all about the transition to Apple Silicon. So, we now have three new Mac models here: a MacBook Air, a Pro 13-inch, and a Mac Mini, all using the brand new M1 chip. So in this video, we're going to do a quick recap of that event, and I'm going to tell you what I think about these new silicon-based Macs. So Apple kicked off the event with the MacBook Air. Now it is important to note that none of these computers actually had any design change. They just have that new chip inside. And Apple is making some pretty bold claims with this new chip. And if they are actually true, this thing is going to be pretty wild. So when I was thinking about the transition to Apple's own chips, I was thinking that they were going to basically only focus on one category of improvement, whether it be performance or efficiency or things like that. Well, Apple pretty much delivered on both of those, and in a pretty mighty way. Although some of these claims may be misleading, including the graphs that they actually showed during the actual keynote, but let's just take a look at some of these here claims. So first off, on the MacBook Air, we have CPU speeds that are 3.5 times faster, GPU that is 5 times faster, and the neural engine up to 9 times faster. Also, the battery life has been incredibly improved on not only the MacBook Air, but also the MacBook Pro. Now, they were comparing this to things like the best-selling PC laptop in its class, but what is the best PC laptop? I mean, we don't know what it's actually being compared with. So things like that are a little misleading, but I'm going to show you guys something here in a second that will blow your mind. Anyways, let's continue talking about this here. So this is basically the chip that we know as the A14. But this chip is different. It's actually more powerful in that. And one way you can tell is this one has 16 billion transistors in it. And everything is now combined into one chip. So you combine literally everything: the CPU, the GPU, the neural engine, the security, all that stuff. So you're actually freeing up a lot of room inside the computer. And this CPU is a base of 8 cores, which is pretty wild to think about. And not only is the CPU, but also the GPU is 8 cores. So you're going to get way better graphics and way better performance all the way around. Another thing about the MacBook Air, and I thought I was pretty happy with my 10 hours that I get on my 2018 MacBook Air, but now you can get a whopping 18 hours. And then Apple even did something even crazier. They removed the fan. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but to think about what we're talking about, removing the fan because you're so confident that your new chip is going to be that efficient and not overheat. I mean, it is just crazy. So yeah, there is so much with these new computers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the MacBook Pro 13-inch. So only the 13-inch received the M1 chip and not the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But I'm going to show you why that is here in a second. So even though this is the same chip, it still has a slightly different CPU performance and graphic speed, but some things it just excels much faster, like for example, machine learning. So yeah, we're using the same chip, 8 cores, all that good stuff in each one of these computers. Now, let me show you this real quick. I'm a little late, obviously, recording this video, but this article just came out. It's posted on Mac Rumors. You can go check it out yourself. But the Apple Silicon chip outperforms the high-end 16-inch MacBook Pro. And by the way, this is a MacBook Air they are testing. Now, like I said, it's the same chip in all computers, so you should expect the similar performance. But when you think about this, a MacBook Air is now outperforming the 16-inch MacBook Pro. And not just any 16-inch MacBook Pro, we're talking the i9 variant. And before we even just show you this down here, I mean, this thing outperforms all iOS devices including the new A14 and iPad Air and the iPhones. And every single Mac that is currently available. So look at this. This is your single core score. Just absolutely blows away the i9 27-inch iMac. And then look at the rest of the list. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Now, when you look at the multi-core score, it outperforms the MacBook Pro, the Mac Pro, but it's not quite still as crazy as the Mac Pro, the iMac Pro, and a maxed out 10700K iMac, but still slotting right in there on the multi-core and then beating everything in the single core. That is pretty impressive, and it makes me even more excited to see what the real world tests are going to be with this thing, and also the future. I mean, I was wondering, why didn't Apple upgrade the 16-inch MacBook Pro? Well, that is why, because it absolutely blew the other one out of the water. So I guess they're waiting to get a better chip to put into that variant. And then finally, we can take a look at the Mac Mini real fast. So honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you. The Mac Mini was kind of disappointing. Yeah, it's still impressive, all that good stuff, same stuff we've seen, right? But one main thing missing is no more 10 gigabit Ethernet on the Mac Mini. That was a pretty important feature for a lot of people, but who knows? Maybe it might come back later. I don't know. Also, Apple's lowered the price of the Mac Mini by $100. It makes me wonder, why would I need to buy a MacBook Pro 13-inch over the MacBook Air? I mean, yeah, the battery life is crazy. They're claiming 20 hours on the MacBook Pro. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, 20 hours on that, which is nuts. And also the touch bar. So literally for $300 more, you get more battery life by 2 hours than a touch bar. I mean, I'm not sure if it's quite really worth it. Also, something important to note, the memory is now inside of the chip. So you can max this out to 16 gigs and that's it. There's no more 32 gigs or anything higher than that on your MacBook Pro. And also, you're not going to be able to upgrade a Mac ever again yourself. So if you want the higher RAM, you better get it. But yeah, guys, I mean, look at this. This is the 3 new Macs. Look at how similar they are. 8 cores, up to 16 gigs, up to 2 terabytes. Slightly better battery life and a touch bar. These are literally identical. The chips are identical. The memory is identical. The storage options, basically the exact same display on the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. And just the MacBook Pro gets slightly brighter there. Still a 720p camera, which honestly disappointing. I don't know why Apple won't fix that. But yeah, it makes me wonder, why would you buy a MacBook Pro anymore? It's weird. We're at a weird time, but I'm sure Apple is working on even crazier chips to put in these things. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you today. I just wanted to talk about these new Macs real quick. What do you think about this initial transition? You think you should buy one of these immediately? You think you should wait a couple more years until the transition is fully completed? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. macOS Big Sur comes out this Thursday, so you'll definitely see some videos from me about that. But anyways, I'll catch you all in